I'm Maxi and you are watching the AMG Expert Talk. In the last episode, Dr. Gustavo Estrada gave us some nice views into the world of aerodynamics with the new Mercedes-AMG GT Black-serie. And my today's guest is Kevin Berger. He's an expert for torque control. Kevin, good to have you here.
Hello, thanks for having me here.
So, torque control, this is a term that is a bit unusual perhaps for most of the audience, so could you explain it?
Basically, we're talking about all-wheel drive. You have to make a difference between a permanent all-wheel drive and the variable all-wheel drive. And at Mercedes-AMG, we also make a difference at the variable all-wheel drive, and we call this 4MATIC or 4MATIC Plus, and this is our torque control.
But wait, in the past, normally all-wheel drive was used for off-roaders.
This changed a lot, yeah. So nowadays it is more common to have all-wheel drive in normal passenger cars. All-wheel drive gives you an advantage if you're talking about lots of horsepower, high engine torque output, or driving on slippery roads. It is also important if we are talking about driving performance and driving behavior. And that is why it's a really important topic for us at AMG to bring our cars to a next performance level. You
have two different powertrain concepts. Lengthwise, this is how you mostly build in your front engine, but with the MFA, the modular front architecture, you're also running a concept with the front engine built in crosswise, right?
Yes, we have this concept at our new generation compact cars. For example, the A-Class and our CLA, and also at our GLA and GLBs.
Okay, many letters. And MFA and MRA, sorry, what's the difference there?
I would like to show you here our display. To explain you the difference between MFA and MRA, I would like that you choose one car out of here so I can show you what is the difference there.
Okay, then I take, well, the four-door coupe.
So the prettiest one, okay.
Yeah.
So let's go for that. So here, it is important now that I can show you how the engine is built in and which axle is the primary driven axle here. So maybe you can just click on the GT four-door coupe and then open the 4MATIC Plus. Yeah, so here you can see that the engine is, as you said, lengthwise built in. That means the cylinder lining is in the direction of the driving direction. And then we have a direct torque transfer to the rear axle. That means our rear axle is the primary driven axle at the MRA. And if we want to generate an all-wheel drive, we have to hang on the front axle to the rear axle.
Okay, makes sense. Hang on, what does that mean?
If you want to create an all-wheel drive, we have to transfer the torque from the rear axle to the front axle. And that's why we call it hang-on. And so in this case, it's an hang-on all-wheel drive to the front. In our E-Class, for example, and in the S-Class, also in our SUVs, and here at the GT four-door coupe.
The cars of the MFA platform are using the hang-on system to the rear?
In the A-Class, it's quite counterwise. The engine is built in crosswise, and the front axle is always the primary driven axle. And to generate all-wheel drive, we have to hang on the rear axle to the front axle. So we can transfer torque on demand from the front to the rear.
And what is the big advantage of on-demand?
One for sure is the efficiency. If you drive both axles and there is no need for it, it makes no sense and it will cost you fuel for nothing. And on the other hand, there is the vehicle dynamic aspect, the agility aspect, when we can control the all-wheel drive on demand.
So increasing the agility of the car, what do you mean by that?
That's a really good question because at our torque control and 4MATIC Plus, agility is a really important topic. I'm gonna ask you a question. What are you thinking about agility in context of cars?
I think I'm the host here. Yeah, agility, of course, this is easy to answer. It's the acceleration, right? From 0 to hero. We are talking about driving behavior right now, right?
Yes, we're talking about driving behavior.
How do you affect then the driving behavior?
Very much with torque control and our 4MATIC Plus. And also you as a driver can affect the driving behavior of the car. And therefore we have our dynamic select modes in the car. And I would like to show you our dynamic select modes and our AMG Dynamics.
Makes totally sense. But first of all, perhaps can you explain the driving behavior more from a technical point of view?
When we are talking about agility at AMG, we are talking about yaw rates. We are describing the rotation of the car around its own vertical axis. So that means how fast can the car rotate. The yaw rates is agility. High agility, we're talking about high yaw rates and oversteering driving behavior, for example. And it is also possible counterwise. Low agility, low yaw rates, understeer behavior.
I think it's a must to have a closer look inside the car right
It
now.
is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the AMG Dynamics select modes.
Between comfort and race, we are linking the AMG Dynamics. So when you switch to comfort, you can see on your screen on the right that the AMG Dynamics will switch into basic. The AMG Dynamics, they are responsible for the agility of the car. You have AMG Dynamic Basic, and basic means it is not that agile, it's a little bit more defensive. Smooth, yeah, it gives you always a stable feeling. If you switch to Dynamic Pro, which is linked to Sport Plus, the car will be more sporty, so it will have more agility.
So Pro, what does it mean?
Very high agility and a very sporty behavior and a lot of fun, does it mean.
Let's compare basic and Pro.
Yes, let's do this. If you want to come out of the car,
No, not at all.
but we can talk about a little situation.
Okay.
Okay.
So what is the biggest difference between driving through a curve while using basic and Pro?
You're driving the car and we're driving into a left-hander curve, and you probably drive fast into this left-hander curve. With basic, the car is not that agile, and is quite stable and defensive. So when you will drive into the curve, you may be a little bit late on the brakes and you're missing the apex, maybe you're too fast and you try to steer more in to rotate the car, but you will have understeer.
Does not sound good.
Yeah, but sometimes it happens, and on a sudden point you will have understeer, and at the end the front axle is at the limit and you're turning the car late and driving out of the curve. So now we're switching to AMG Dynamic Pro, and AMG Dynamic Pro will give you more agility, more yaw, and it will rotate the car more around its own vertical axis. You are the driver as well. You are again too late on the brakes. You're missing again the apex, and you want to steer also more. The front axle is on the limit, but now our 4MATIC Plus is transfer the torque on the rear axle more to the outer tire and is starting to rotate the car more. It will bring more agility into it, and it will help you turning the car earlier, faster, you have more agility and come out of the curve with more traction and more agility.
Makes totally sense. So how is it possible in this car?
This is one very important thing, and I can show it to you. You can choose the 4MATIC Plus.
Looks great.
Here you can see the 4MATIC Plus. With this part in here, it's our rear axle final drive. We control the torque of the left and the right tire. That means we are able to bring more torque to the right tire in comparison than to the left tire. So that can turn the car more, and that will help you if you are too late in the curve and bring more agility into the car.
This really sounds unique. Let's have a closer look.
Here you can see our rear axle final drive. So here comes the torque, and we will transfer the torque to the left and to the right tire. And how is this possible? So we have two multi-clutch packages in here, and we can control these clutch packages with electronical actuators. And we have two of them, and they're really fast. So that when you are steering very fast, we can control this every time very fast. What will happen in the situation when you're driving to the left-hander curve, the car will detect how you are driving, and it will detect that you will steer more, and in this case we will transfer more torque with our multi-clutch package here to the outer tire and to rotate it more, that you can drive faster.
I heard that the new Mercedes A4 D5 can drift even if it has a primary front axle drive.
We have a drift mode, and this thing is also responsible for that, and it is really possible, and I can show you here a nice video. So here you can see arrows on the tires, and these arrows, they are showing us how much torque is applied on it. This driver is gonna drive a right-hander curve and start to drift. You will see that we will transfer with our rear axle final drive a lot of torque to the outer wheel to bring a lot of rotation into the car and to move the car into oversteering behavior. Let's have a look on it.
Yeah, here we go.
You see what happened?
Whoa.
Here you can see that the outer wheel will get a lot of torque, and here as well. And that means if the outer wheel has a lot of torque, the car will rotate very fast, and due to high engine output, what we have in our AMG obviously, means we will have a lot of wheel spin, and with a lot of wheel spin and high rotation, it will give us a nice drift.
So it was a really nice drift. It was you in the car,
It
right?
was me for sure, yeah.
So Kevin, thank you so much for explaining how the behavior of the car is influenced by torque control.
Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure for me.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This is our AMG Expert Talk. See you again soon. Bye, take care.